and I will be presenting today on behalf of CITI Law Firm. Tonight we have a very interesting topic. It's about young offenders within the criminal justice system. I have a guest called Joe. I'm sure you all know him. He'll be on tonight and he'll be answering all of your questions in regards to this topic. We've chosen this topic because it's very relevant and applicable to what is happening within the UK at the moment. So stay tuned, please like, subscribe, share, and I'll be back with you soon. Thank you. everyone, welcome back. So I'd like to introduce you to my knowledgeable guest and work colleague, Joe, who will be answering all of your questions tonight. Like I said before, please like, subscribe, share, and feel free to comment, phone in and ask him any questions because he's very, very knowledgeable about this topic. So Joe, would you like to introduce yourself? I'm sure the viewers know who you are, but...
Alright, thank you very much. And anyway, viewers, as you all know, my name is Joe, and I've been hosting this program, but for tonight, I'm the guest and Edwina is the host. So for those of you that watched that last week, Edwina came on the show and I hosted her and now she's hosting me. So that's how the world could turn over, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alright. So I'm here tonight, and of course I know viewers will benefit from what we're going to do tonight, definitely. Yeah.
So tonight, our topic is on young people within the criminal justice system. I personally feel this is a topic that is very important at the moment, with what's going on in society at the moment, within the UK. It's a topic that's quite close to home for myself and probably to a lot of people that are viewing the show tonight. So I think it's important, it's going to be beneficial to you, your family. So stay tuned, it's going to be a good show. Going to learn a lot tonight.
Definitely.
And so tonight, like I said, the topic is on young people within the criminal justice system. This is an area I feel that you're quite knowledgeable on. I know you've worked within the YOS team.
Yes.
You know,
in the past, yeah.
you know, you've worked a lot of young offenders. You've worked with adult offenders, so you've got a broad range of knowledge. So let's start. So Joe, what would you consider a young person in the criminal justice system to be? Like, if you could elaborate on that.
Okay. So in the criminal justice system, and according to the Crime and Disorder Act of 1998, a young person, if they say young person, is someone from the age of 10 to 17.
So is that the age of criminal responsibility, 10?
That's right. That is where they become responsible for their criminal activities. So they are dealt differently according to the law. And for between that age, they are classified or called young people or young person until they turn 18, where they'll be considered as adults. And if they commit any offenses or whatever, will be dealt by the adult probation. They are dealt differently by the youth offending team. That is why we term them young people. So between that age of 10 to 17, before they turn to be 18.
And that is that reflective of all types of offences or just certain offences?
Yeah, so basically it depends on the type of the offence, because some of the offences doesn't actually go to it dealt at a police station, so it doesn't go to court. But then if it goes to court and the court obviously gives sentence, and then that'll be a different route altogether, which will come there. But with the age wise, young person from the age of 10 to 17 falls under the criminal justice system, and they are dealt with the youth offending team.
Okay, thank you, Joe. So in terms of the criminal justice system, how does the structure work for youth offenders?
All right, that's a very broad and very
it's
good
very,
question.
very broad, yeah.
I know. So, as I said earlier, if a young person commit a crime, the starting point for them is the time of arrest. That is when they get arrested by the police, and mostly they are handcuffed and taken to the police station. So obviously they'll be presented before the superintendent or maybe the charge officer, and when they are charged, that is where probably they'll be taken to court.
Okay.
At that point, there could be an early discharge, or there could be a reprimand or a fine or anything of that sort, you know. Obviously, if it's depending on the severity or the nature of the offense or the crime they've committed. But then let's I mean, let's take it like the person has received a custodial sentence. I mean, the case has met the threshold for court.
Yeah.
And the person has been taken to court. At that point, the young person will be summoned to the youth court. And with the youth court, it's not open to members of the public.
Okay.
Unlike maybe the public adult court. Where
is that because of the age of the person?
Definitely.
Okay.
So basically, it's just the jury or the judge or the solicitors, and then of course the young person cannot be there by themselves, so they need to be represented by either their family, either their mother, their father, maybe an elderly, someone above 18, could be a sibling, or if let's say they are looked after children, maybe children in care, or maybe children who haven't got relatives, then of course an appropriate adult will be there to represent or accompany the child. So
no matter what the situation is for that person under 18, there will always be someone that can come in and represent them.
Yeah, and under no circumstances would they represent themselves.
Okay.
And of course someone needs to be there with them. And let's say the young person is there in court and the offense is very serious, that threshold for custody has been met.
Yeah.
So the offender or the young person needs to be sentenced. That point, maybe they will sentence this person to what they call secure unit, and it would depend on maybe the years or the months of sentence and that they will give to the person. So if at the secure unit, there are a lot of things that will happen. If the person is in school, they will get the education, it will continue over there. So they've structured it in such a way that the young person wouldn't miss much, you know what I mean? Yeah, so
would you say it's like a prison, but a prison for children?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. That's how they call it, secure unit.
Yeah.
So you know what? At some point, some children, they just want to experience that environment. You know, at some point they want to experience it. If care is not taken, they will be going back and forth because some of them like it over there.
Yeah.
You know, there's some sort of freedom. They enjoy their games. You know, they go to school if they have to. You know what I mean? They prepare them actually that they don't miss much. That
so they prepare them for adult life, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. So there's some sort of transition. So let's say somebody has committed an offense and the person at the time of sentencing maybe was 17, but then during the process turns 18.
And what would happen in that situation?
There will be some sort of transition, and that is when they will sort of move that person from the young prison to the adult prison. And some of the prisons in the UK can contain both youth and adult, you know what I mean? It's like they take people on that age. So
I know for female offenders, Holloway Prison was one of those prisons that catered for young children.
That's right, yeah.
And then at the transitioning age, they would take them over to the adult wings.
Yeah. So they've got different wings. You know, some of the wings will be for young children, young offenders, and then maybe people turning to 18 or people who have turned to 18 that managed by the probation. So that transition will go on between the yours team and the probation.
So there'll be like a handover.
That's right.
From YOS over to probation once they turn an adult age.
That's right.
Okay.
And then one thing is when the young person does not get a custodial sentence, but let's say a community sentence, mostly they get young rehabilitation order. You know what I mean? Youth rehabilitation order, which is managed by the YOS team. That is where the YOS team comes in. So at that time of the sentencing, the YOS officer or the young person will be allocated to an officer who will take the person through the offense or who will make sure that they manage this person throughout the whole sentencing. And they set a panel. The panel consists of the YOS officer or a social worker, the young person himself, the representative, who could be the family and parent, mother, father, or appropriate adult, and then a member mostly 2 members from the community for the panel. 2 members.
So
They are
when you
volunteers.
say 2, oh, right, okay, volunteers, okay.
Yeah, so 2 volunteers from the community. They sit in the panel, they discuss the order, the referral order, they discuss it, explain it to the young person. And I think the motive for the panel, the community members to be there is to encourage them, to show them that they are in support of their well-being, they kind of helping them, and if they can't understand anything, any others, they'll be able to explain it to them, and then they'll be able, in their layman term or whatever, and they help them to achieve their objectives, you know.
So there's quite a lot of multi-agency working.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So, I mean, there will be a structure as well at the youth offenders team, and that is where the work of the youths will come in. They have to complete their own assessment to ensure that if the young person has got issues, let's say if experiencing truancy in education or something like that, they probably will engage education workers to kind of motivate or work closely with a young person to make sure they get back into education, or they put them in the right institution.
Yeah.
And then also there are so many departments that obviously will be part of the youth to support this particular young person.
Yeah.
And as we move on, I'll be able to explore more on the agencies that are involved. But then the young person has an obligation to comply with the requirements of the order.
I was going to ask that, yeah, so it's quite similar to, for instance, an adult order. Just because they're young offenders, it doesn't mean there's leniency in terms of, you know, their engagement and things like that.
That's
They're
right,
expected
yeah.
to engage.
Yep, they are.
Because
They
it's
have to.
court-ordered.
Because if they fail to engage, equally they can be breached and
Okay.
be sent back to court. And if care is not taken, then they can meet the threshold of custody. They can send them to custody, depending on the nature of the offense. So they are.
So this is a legal binding.
They have to.
Yeah.
They have to. And their system is, if probably they miss the appointments or they show signs of non-compliance towards the order, then they could be sent back to the court, and the court will make decision on that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Joseph.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. So, in terms of major criminal activities young people engage in, what would you say was prevalent at the moment?
To be fair, young people are engaging or involving themselves in a lot of criminal activities nowadays.
Let me narrow it down. Let's talk about England. What would you say is prevalent at the moment in terms of major criminal activity for young people?
Now, I think they're doing a lot more of county lines, drug supply.
So maybe elaborate a little bit on county lines for people that don't understand what that is.
Okay, so viewers, county line is obviously where young people travel, let's say from London to the outskirts, for the purpose of supplying drugs. They carry different mobile phones with them, and they have operators or people who are controlling them, who are sort of like their bosses. And
so would you say they were groomed?
They're groomed, yeah. So basically they supply these drugs or they send it to someone over there on the other end, and they don't have much control of their behavior basically, but they've been groomed into doing that, and of course it does affect them. They get arrested, and then they get criminal conviction for drug supply.
Regardless of the age?
Yes, they still get that conviction. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, they do that. Obviously, there are hierarchy or bosses or people, middlemen, or there's a chain for people who obviously participate in this. So it starts from the top boss. It starts from the street level, where the street level are the people that will obviously be holding the drugs in the trains or sometimes in vehicles, whatever. So many a times police will arrest people, and a young person will be having a lot of drugs with them, and sometimes they have money, sometimes they carry knife. So as a result of that, there's a high rate of knife crime in there.
To do with this county
exactly in England as well. There's a lot more, because most of the possession of knife and stuff like that is linked or connected to this drugs and to county lines. Yeah, and it's becoming really, really alarming, especially in the UK. If you listen to the news, you always hear about, you know, knife crime, policies coming up here and there to sort of control or to curb that, but it's not really been easy.
It's not been easy. I know, for instance, when Labour came into power, they introduced, was it just under 100 new laws in terms of knife crime and things like that, but it's still a big problem.
Yes.
So would you say, you know, when you speak about street level, would you say that's predominantly children that are being used to distribute these drugs along county lines?
Yes, Ed, I mean, it's really sad how they do recruit these young people for the street level county lines. What they normally do is they start as, I mean, they group them from, let's say, very tender age, very early age, chicken and chips strategy, you know.
Would you say
they
target vulnerable children?
Vulnerable. That's why I mentioned the chicken and chips. So this is a new terminology that came up where obviously the police identified that a lot of people were recruiting these young people from the chicken and chips joint. They will end up buying it for them, you know, and then the time will come to tell them that they owe them money.
Yeah. And
then they will threaten them, we will do this to your mother, we'll come to your house, I know where you live. And because they can't do anything about it, they consent or they agree to do whatever they ask to do. And that is how they use them to obviously undertake all these street level drug supply. So
I heard as well, well, through my work, sometimes as well they, you know, will give these children drugs to take across county lines.
That's right.
Then they'll arrange for these children to be robbed purposely.
You do that.
Yeah. And then, you know, obviously the children they're oblivious to what's going on. And then they're now in debt to these drug dealers.
Yes.
You know, it's organised, and then through that they're able to then bring them into this organised crime. You
know, at some point, they could even go to the extent of stabbing them, you know, and then just to make sure that they will tell them, if you tell anyone, you are in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, so they can do all sort of things to the children. But obviously, this is what I always say to parents, that when you are with a child, you have to be very careful. You know, there are so many things that along the line we will talk about, you know, what parents need to look for in terms of supporting their children to make sure that they don't put themselves or become victim of these circumstances.
So aside from knife crime, what else would you say is prevalent for young people at the moment in terms of criminal activity?
Yeah, and then also they engage in all sorts of activities. So I've mentioned the drug supply, which is county line, knife crime. They engage in robbery. There could be a lot of offences, very serious offences the knife crime is a broad name, but then of course it could be possession. But then when they use to stab someone, then that could obviously escalate to other things like GBH, and you know, it could lead to the death of someone. That could be murder, manslaughter. You know, so these are some of the offences that young people can get themselves into. You know, and
because I think this problem is so broad, you know, especially with young males. It's like what they call it, hegemonic masculinity. It's like, you know, they're involved. Some of these guys, I wouldn't say guys, young people, they're involved in this, and you know, they sort of become a product of their environment.
That's right.
They don't necessarily want to be involved in these things, but you know, they're a product of their environment, and they get carried along. You know, even with knife crime, sometimes it's peer pressure and things like that. They don't necessarily want to do this, but because of, you know, the environment that they're in, the people that they're with, they feel pressured, and you know, they end up within the criminal justice system. So it's a big problem. It's multifaceted. Okay, Joseph. So, what is the role of a yacht officer?
All right. So a lot of people might hear the term YOS. So, youth offending team.
Okay.
And what they normally do is that they are like the probation officers for adults, but then they manage young people, and their role is to manage them whilst they are on the court orders or throughout their sentence. What they normally do is that obviously at the point of sentence, they get allocated depending on what borough the young person is.
Okay.
And then of course, when a youth officer is allocated to a young person, what they have to do is to obviously invite the child or the young person with the family, and organize the panel, which I've already mentioned. Now, obviously, community members will come in, and the young person, other agencies that will be supportive. So the youth officer will do an assessment, and the assessment will highlight areas that will obviously be needed, or as in,
criminogenic needs.
Exactly, we call it criminogenic needs.
Yeah.
But then also over to them, it could be like protective factors.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course the negative factors, or factors that are not very protective for the child. You know, so they try to highlight all these areas. So in fact, if the young person has got issues with drugs, that will come as a non-protective factor or a negative factor, because that could be contributing towards the offending behavior. If the young person probably is engaging with negative peers, like all friends are negative, they are not benefiting, then that could be lifestyle issue, and then of course it's something that they will raise and highlight that they have to address. If the young person is not, let's say, going to school, truancy, or experiencing issues, maybe bullying, or there could be so many things at school, they will look into that. So the youth is a broader area. They look into engaging all agencies. So it's kind of multi-agency work involved. They engage the schools, they engage the the drug workers, they engage the voluntary agencies to make sure that the young person will achieve everything they need to achieve to stop them from reoffending.
So predominantly in England at the moment, would you say in terms of young people, they would engage people like gang youth workers and things like that to help with the...
Yes. So after the assessment, if the young person is linked, or if it's assessed to be linked to a gang or to be a nominal, then that is when the youth officer will engage. There are so many agencies that work with young people, and they engage the family as well. So to make sure that if it's gang related or if it's linked to gang, they will do that, and link them to mentoring agencies and people that are there to help with people who are involved in gangs or in the gang culture. So they engage all sort of people to make sure that the young person wouldn't go astray and will get the support that they need to change their lifestyle and bounce back to act prosocially.
So you spoke about protective factors. Would you be able to elaborate on what a protective factor is?
Yes. So the protective factors are the factors that are available to support the young person to achieve their potentials, and then also to help them to refrain from committing further crime or acting antisocial. So these could be protective factors. For instance, if a young person is actively going to school, that could be a protective factor. If the family, let's say parents, mother, father, no issues and they are in support of the young person, that could be a protective factor. If the young person is not using drugs, that could be a protective factor. You see, so these are all the positive factors around the circumstances of the young person. Okay, and the negative factors are definitely the factors that will lead the young person to
contribute to the offending behavior.
That could be smoking, engaging with gangs, all sort of activities.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. So what other agencies would you say are available to support young people? I know you touched on a few, but maybe if you could elaborate a little bit more.
Yes. So in the UK, I know they try to help a lot of young people. There are so many agencies available. I mentioned a few. The councils, they call something early help intervention. Early help. Early help is a department within the council that support young people, and what they do is they stop them or they help them to or they prevent them from committing crimes.
Okay.
So that is not even specific for young people who are already in the criminal justice. For young people who probably have got some signs or there are some indications of them going wayward, the early help will help them and obviously assist them that they will not go into the criminal justice umbrella.
Yeah.
You know, there are some agencies within every borough, the mentoring agencies, which obviously the CGL, there are so many agencies, the mentoring, they offer mentoring for people and then young people, they assign them to role models, people that obviously have been in the same route in the past.
Yeah.
They probably might have committed even worse or serious offenses.
So they've rehabilitated.
But exactly, they've been able to rehabilitate, they've addressed themselves. So they will mentor them and say, look, all you did, I've done it before. They will help them, they will support them, take them to gym, you know, take them to various places and help them to obviously lead a pro-social lifestyle. So these are some of the agencies that obviously are available. And when you go to the school, there are so many institutions available within the schools that support young people. We have the youth workers, the youth clubs. They are available where obviously young people can visit after school activities. And they get a range of training, they get a lot of support, you know. So
there's a lot of preventative measures.
That's right.
To you know, for young people.
Yes.
Okay. So let's look at the comments because I've had a few questions come through. Let me just open them. So thank you for commenting, everyone. So we have my auntie Ohima Nana Asa Safwa II. She's watching from my car. Thank you for supporting as always. We have Sienna Jade, my niece. Thank you. Eddie Duku Asamoah, very informative. Thank you, bro. Sophia Ashong, good evening. Very educational program. Thank you. We have Dora Frimpong. Good evening. Good evening, Dora. Yes. My auntie states this is a very interesting topic and it is scary for parents, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Very, very scary. Carrick Philomen, young people involvement in the criminal justice system. Okay, let's see what you guys have for us. Thank you. Winston Frame. Oh, okay, he's asked, what is the nature of the support? So I think you've kind of covered that question already.
Yes, yeah, I've covered it. So basically, they, as I said earlier on, they get a lot of support. I mean, mentoring. You know, the youth clubs are available. Early help intervention is there for them. They can get support with from the drugs and alcohol agencies to obviously address them. They can get, you know, financial support, you know, to do a lot of things which the council can obviously provide for them if they want to engage in what do you call it, in apprenticeship. Is there for them as well.
So there is support.
I mean, so there are so many supports, educational support if they have to go back to education. So there's a lot of range of support, obviously, to help them, and it's a matter of them knowing the support available for them, knowing where to go for these supports, and of course, knowing how to utilize them. You know, because the government has made provisions for that, but then a lot of them don't even know how to do it.
How to access that support.
Exactly, that is the problem.
Natalie, so informative and very interesting. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you for supporting. Sub-question from Winston Frame. There's been a serious decline in youth clubs. Do you think that this is a factor in young people straying?
Yes, I think so, and I believe so too. I think they need to engage themselves in a lot of activities because the youth clubs, they offer so many activities, you know. So young people can obviously channel, let's say if someone has got aggressive behavior, temper issues, leading, the youth club can help them, can nurture them and help them to achieve what they want to achieve in terms of maybe football, what they are doing, boxing, so they can channel their talent or whatever towards a positive direction.
Of course, yeah.
You know, so that is the purpose of the youth club. They get a lot of support. They learn from each other. But to be fair, I think there hasn't been a lot in the country, which I think is something that obviously policymakers need to make sure that they put that in the system for them.
Because I think in terms of funding as well, that's been an issue for the youth clubs in this country.
But definitely it's very beneficial because I've got friends who work in the youth club, and their involvement and engagement with young people is excellent, and they help them, they support them. Some of them are now playing professional football.
Yeah.
You know, some of them are playing basketball. Some of them are obviously doing professional boxing. So there are so many activities that the youth club can obviously explore, and their potentials will come out, and they build their confidence as well. You see, rather than leaving them to be hanging around with negative peers, which obviously can lead to a lot of activities, you know, serious crime, organized crime, gang involvement, so many activities, criminal activities like robbery, you know, burglary and stuff like that. So yeah, the youth club is really, really important.
Vincent says, brilliant answer, Joseph. Jade, hello Jade, thank you for supporting. Jade has asked, are there any initiatives or support for young people you would like to see supported, funded, more in terms of helping to prevent young people from reoffending?
Yes, there should be a lot more initiative. You know, in terms of reoffending, the council come with a lot of interventions. And as probation, we say offence focused work. But with them, they do more of interventions, and which is good for their learning. And of course, it helps them and it support them as well. And then also, there's something we call motivational interviewing. They benefit a lot from that, and practitioners are obviously using that with young people. Motivational interviewing will obviously not just encouraging them, but then it helps them to take responsibilities as well.
Accountability,
you know what I mean? Exactly, for whatever they are doing. So there are a lot of interventions, there are ranges of interventions that will support them. The councils have got them. Sometimes what I would say is that parents especially should check from the council website and see what kind of intervention available for their children. Because I've got a friend who son was involved in gangs and stuff like that. They wanted to find out what would be available for them. Their view was that maybe the services will be available once maybe the person is, or the child is in trouble or with the police before they can get the referral. I said, no, when you go to, there are so many agencies, go to the council and check it. He checked and he was able to arrange with that department who support young people to obviously stop or refrain them from getting into gang activities. And they got the support that they wanted. They were able to mentor them. So that was really, really a very important and very good thing. So people should check from the council the range of support available for them. And then also other charity organizations are there to support young people. You know, the, what do you call it? Is it the Red Cross, the brigade? You know, there are so many activities, there are so many interventions available that will support young people. So when they are involved in all these interventions or activities and they are making constructive use of their time, then they'll have less time to engage with negative people. Yes. So sometimes also they need to understand their purpose. That is very psychological, because a lot of young people don't know what they are capable of doing. Exactly. That is where obviously these kind of motivational interviewing needs to come in, for them to identify their own self.
Because it's more person-centered, isn't it? It focuses on that person, not so much. You know, it does concentrate on the events, but it, you know, it's about giving them the skills. The skills
that they need. Exactly. So there are so many, interventions. There are so many support out there for them to benefit from.
So Winston has asked, well, he stated, we need more mentors and youth workers going into primary schools, as when they get involved in gangs and criminality, it becomes much harder to get them out of that lifestyle. What would you say to that?
That we need, sorry
about that. We need more mentors and youth workers going into primary schools, as when they get involved in gangs and criminality, it becomes much harder for them to get out of that lifestyle?
Yes, I think it's very important. As I said earlier on, the mentors are there to use their own lifestyle to obviously support the young people. So some of them have done worse things. Some of them have been to prison for years. So it's very important that obviously the schools, the youth centers, I mean, all the agencies have to come together. We need more, definitely.
Yeah,
because I think that is one of the problems that we have in the country. They are not adequate, you know what I mean, or enough mentors in these institutions, but it's something that we can factor into the education system to make sure that obviously they are going in there, they are giving them the mentorship, they are giving them the support, and then eventually it will help them. Because a lot of crime going on, knife crime, county lines, all these things are going on because the children don't have a clue, they don't know what is going on.
I think one significant point that Winston made was that early intervention is key.
Yes, it is.
It is key to, address these children from a young age and equip them with the knowledge and the tools to be able to abstain from this criminality.
Yeah, so one thing about the schools that they need to do is to liaise closely with the councils and make referrals, because when it comes to early intervention, that is when they'll be able to identify the behavior before it becomes worse. You see, and to be fair, the teachers, they see more from the children than even the parents.
Primary socialisation, children are spending so many hours of their lives at school. And there are some behavior that obviously when they are home they won't do it, but when they are at school with their peers they do it. I mean, teachers, most of them are trained as psychologists, and they can easily identify such behaviors. So that is how the early intervention is relevant, because when a child is exhibiting this behavior, bullying other children, as early as some talking about cannabis and how they interact with others, the teachers are really focused and they need to identify these children, and that is when they can make that referral. Communication is also key then.
It is.
It is. Between the agencies, between families and schools.
It is,
and things like that.
Yes.
Okay. Winston also mentioned about mentors and things like that, and you mentioned about people haven't walked in those shoes, so they're able to give that sort of advice to young people. So there's a theory they speak about, it's called utopian government, and it's basically because you have people in government and things that have not necessarily walked in those shoes. So the utopian theory speaks about people who are able to speak from life experiences and speak from a place of knowledge and things like that. And sometimes they're better equipped to advise these young children that, look, I've been here, I've done that. Don't go this route. Do you understand? So
yes, it's true.
Okay. Alright, thank you, Joseph.
You're welcome.
So I've had another question asking, do we deal with immigration matters? I think that's a good time for me to speak about CITI Law Firm. So this show is a legal hour on behalf of CITI Law Firm. So their address is Unit 113, Barking Enterprise Centre, 50 Cambridge Road, Barking, Essex, IG11 8FG. The phone number is 0203 355 0782. That's 0203 355 0782. So CITI Law Solicitors, they specialise in immigration law. So, you can contact them regarding that. They specialise in employment law, family law, personal injuries and clinical negligence, commercial disputes and civil litigations, housing law, consumer law, media and entertainment law. So if you need any advice on any of those subjects, please make sure you contact CITI Law. They're renowned solicitors and they know their stuff.
Yeah, of course they do.
Yeah. Okay, Joe, so if I could ask you Do you think the interventions available for young people are working at the moment in this climate that we're in at the moment?
Yeah, so they are both sides, you know, but
And I'm specifically speaking about England.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, most of the things that we're talking about is based on what in England anyway. So yeah, they are both sides because to be fair, I think because we keep hearing a lot of youth crime, you know, a lot of gang issues, a lot of knife crime. So the question one may ask is that how come that obviously we got all these interventions and there's high rate of
we still have these issues,
crime, you know, and that children are getting themselves, young people are getting themselves involved in all sort of criminal activities. So based on that fact, I think we need more intervention. I think the interventions at the moment is a bit limited, you know, because on paper you can obviously see that there are interventions, but then in reality, if the person is not involved in the criminal justice system, there might not be any intervention for the person.
Okay.
Yeah, that is why I emphasized earlier on that apart from, let's say, the academic curriculum in school, they should also factor other interventions.
So prevention is better than cure.
That's right. And then obviously that comes to early help in schools. And then also there should be more recreational activities, youth centers, you know, that will obviously help them to lead a constructive lifestyle rather than obviously going to other areas to engage with their friends or peers that might not be pro-social, leading with pro-criminal peers. That wouldn't help them at all. You see, so the focus is that young people should be encouraged to actively involve themselves in the interventions or in the activities available. And they can get these from the youth club. They can get this from the schools.
Yeah.
You know, they can get this from the churches.
Yeah.
I mean, if they are Christians. And I know a lot of people watching, you know, I've got background Christians or Muslims or, you know, faith. They are centers for people to enjoy themselves. So these are some of the things that will take them away from obviously engaging. So these interventions, but then family needs to intervene as well.
Well,
which is very, very important.
So Winston has just stated this. He said, I think some parents need educating as well.
That's right.
Work will and life in general can take precedence over childcare, which leads to young people seeking that belonging from negative factors in the streets.
Yep, it's true. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree with the information that Winston has given.
Yeah.
So the parents need to come in because obviously you have that responsibility to take care of your child. A lot of parents, I don't know, for some reasons they don't want to talk about their children in terms of maybe negative behaviors and stuff like that. They don't want to report. You live with a child who is not working, coming back home wearing trainers, new trainers, worth about, let's say, £150, £600, £500 trainers almost every day.
Yeah.
You check the wallet or whatever, you see money in the child's wallet, a lot of cash. You can smell drugs from them. You look into their clothes, there's a lot of things. You've seen them hiding a knife or something. What are you waiting for as a parent? You're not grasping your child, but you want your child to refrain from this activity before it becomes too late. So parents, I think they have responsibility to make sure that if you can't nurture or if you can't control your own child, who else is going to do that for you?
Exactly.
You see?
Yeah.
And then also there need to be some sort of early attachment, which is very important because a lot of parents don't have that rapport with their children. So it becomes very difficult for them to get involved when they start living that lifestyle.
Like, you know, some children don't have that open relationship with their parents where they can, you know, say when things are going wrong and, you know.
They don't. So it becomes very difficult for them to, obviously, but then when you're a parent and you observe certain things about your child, that obviously is not right. No, I think things are really getting bad. He's not working, but then he's coming home with these He's always on the phone. He's got about 3 mobile phones. These are some of the signs that
Yeah.
you need to look for. And you can look for, it's not, a lot of people think that when the police get involved at that point, the police will arrest them. Okay? The first point of contact is to sit your child down and say, look,
Yeah.
this is what is going on. This is what I've observed. Tell me the truth.
Yeah.
I am your father. I'm your mother. I can help you. A lot of them are doing it because they don't have control over what they are doing.
Yeah.
They need reassurance.
They need help.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you talk to them and say, look, this is it. We are in together. Tell me what you've gotten yourself into. Or tell me what the problem is. I'm here to help you. You see, at some point they'll open up. If not, you have to seek help from outside.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't have to wait till it becomes too late.
Yeah.
That is where a lot of people find themselves in. Because it's really sad, Adrena, that there are some children, or there are some people that probably you might have noticed some, that we've managed. And when you check their offending history, they started committing offenses from
young
them,
age.
as young as maybe 10 years or something like that. And they've been in the cycle for too long, in and out of prison, which I think is frustrating.
Yeah.
You know, so different kinds
it's
of
really
crime.
hard as well. You know, I am going to say it, you know, for predominantly young black males, once they enter that criminal justice system, it's a very vicious cycle for some of them.
Exactly. It's becoming like a culture now.
Yeah.
Because now, if you mention knife crime, everyone knows that obviously predominantly is a black community who are involved in knife crime. You know, and I think because of, I wouldn't say stigmatization, or I wouldn't say maybe they've been stereotyped or whatever, but consistently this is becoming a pattern. So I think the black or the ethnic minority needs to come together and find out solution to obviously curb this. You know, because we are living a path which obviously will not be good for the future generation.
Yes, of course, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is quite a multifaceted problem though, because it is predominantly young black males that have been shown within the media, but there are white youths involved in this as well. So that will probably lead me on to my next question, to be fair. So in the 80s, Scotland had the highest knife crime in the whole of the UK. And I would say, you know, that involved a lot of white youths. So why have the UK not implemented the same strategies that Scotland used to address knife crime to reduce the numbers here?
Yes, that is a very good question. Because Scotland, during that time when knife crime was on the increase, they were able to implement policies, and that policies were welcomed not just to section of people, but to a range of all the areas. That policy transcended to all the councils, all the social services. So, for instance, a lot of people do things they don't know, but they made it clear and very aware, and they open it to everybody. You see, so these are some of the things that obviously they implemented policies to combat knife crime. There were media, well, what do you call it? Making a very, like, knife crime is something that is abominable. You know, every time it's on the news. We don't want to condone knife crime. The centers were there, and the schools, they were against it. So everywhere you go, obviously they made it look like, it's something we don't want to condone or we don't want to entertain. So they put structures in place, and they discouraged every activity that could obviously facilitate or lead to knife crime. Okay, so because of that, they were, I mean, it didn't take them a day or two, obviously, but then with time, they were able to have a reduction in knife crime. And I think we can also do the same thing here. Though we have interventions, though we have policies, I think they are not adequate. I think it's not.
They're clearly not.
I think it's not really tackling the actual issue, because I mean the agencies available. There's no funding. You see, but then in Scotland they funded it. And it was available. So the youth clubs were there. Do you think when these young people, after school, they've got activities to engage themselves in, they'll get time to go and meet other people and start talking about maybe drugs and stuff. No, because they are happy where they are.
Yeah.
You see, so it's about funding. So that needs to be adequate, but unfortunately we don't have adequate funding.
Yeah.
A lot of mentoring agencies are losing their funds. So how would they be able to provide the services for these young people? So Scotland, they put a lot of effort into that. The government funded so many projects, but it's not happening. And I think that is the reason why they obviously managed to curb that or reduce that, but it's not happening here because there's lack of funds. Yeah, so they should make it available in the schools. They should make it available in the youth clubs. Even the charity organization. It should be everywhere for young people to have access to activities that would discourage them from engaging in all these criminal activities, including knife crime.
So for me, I feel, this we could talk about this topic for days.
Yes, we can.
Honestly, it's just so multifaceted.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of England, the inner city areas, I feel the media is also a big problem in this situation, in terms of the causing of moral panic, labelling black young boys as folk devils.
Yep.
It feeds into so many things. We can talk about marginalisation,
Yep,
structural
right.
inequality.
You're right.
This is a big problem. Like, where do we even start with this? So I suppose what I want to ask you is role models. What's your stance on role models for young black boys? Do you think there are adequate enough role models at the moment, like people for them to look up to? What do you feel about that?
No, I don't think we have adequate role models. No, I don't think so. And it comes down to the funding, as I mentioned earlier on, because there are a lot of agencies that can provide these services to the young people. But
because I know for us, for instance, we have within probation we've got Spark to Life and
exactly. But then
agencies like that.
There was a time that obviously some of them even lost their contract. They have to come back again.
Exactly, that's
renew their
another
contract.
problem, isn't
so
it? Yeah.
it's something that is becoming a problem because they need to pay their staffs, and if there's no funding, how can they obviously provide the services that we need or that the young people will need? So there's lack of role models. There's lack of mentors in the community, and all these can obviously activate or it can help young people to bounce back to a pro-social route rather than going astray and engaging with negative peers. So role models of mentoring is very important in their life because you know what? Every child needs someone to look up to.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't have that figure in their families because most people look up to their fathers. And what if the child, and that's, a lot of people that go there, they lack that figure, that father figure.
Yeah.
So the work of the role
home,
model is to step in and say, look, I've done this before, this will help you. Why don't you do this? They do an assessment and they'll be able to guide the child to the right path.
And because of the lack of role models, some of these young people are then looking to, older gang members, as that father kind of figure who's taking them under the wing. And
then one very important thing is that these role models, as I said earlier on, they've had their past. Now they're on a different path. So if, let's say, the young person or the child is on that route, he said, look, this is what will happen to you. And they can open up more to them and tell them about what they are doing. And this is a very good advice to children. If they are engaging with these people, information they give them, they don't come and tell us mostly. What I mean? That because sometimes they want that kind of assurance, and they are not statutory agency. They are charity or they are helping, but then they can't reinforce or they can't enforce your behavior and say we're taking you to court because you disclosed, unless maybe it's social services policy or safeguarding issue that probably they have to disclose. But then you can trust them, you can tell them whatever you're doing, they are there to help you. So I think a lot of people can take advantage of that. But I mean, in the UK, this is something that we need to encourage for people to have mentors, role models, and then of course the youth clubs and stuff like that needs to be everywhere.
This is it, yeah. Because I spoke about, for me, like structural inequality before, and you've done criminology, you know the theory of anomie.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so then you have, groups of people. Okay, the theory is about the American dream, but it's applicable to the UK.
Yep.
So you have everyone starting at the baseline, and they're all aspiring to the American dream.
Yep.
And then some people are able to go the normal route. They can, they have rich parents, they can go to college, they can go to university, things like that, and they can aspire to the American dream of the big house, the nice car, things like that. And then you have other people who are not afforded those same opportunities, and they have to innovate to aspire to that same dream.
Yeah.
So they end up going down different routes of selling drugs and doing this and doing that to aspire to what society's expectation is of success.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think a lot of our young black males are falling into that trap. It feeds into music, music that's gang
related.
They're then looking at these guys as role models, like Rolexes, big cars, this and that. They've sold drugs and they've got there, and then that becomes their dream. And do you understand?
Yeah.
So I think there's so much work that needs to be done. Like where are the role models of like lawyers and barristers and accountants, and where are those same role models for young black guys?
That's right.
So I think there's so much work that needs to be done.
Definitely. There should be a lot of activities, especially in the schools as well, to, let's say, sometimes they can get people to come and give a lecture. Talk,
things like
about
that.
their lifestyle, about how they achieve their. Some schools they do it, especially they invite the footballers. They come there, they talk to them about how they manage to achieve or get what,
and even the obstacles that they have overcome to get to that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, I mean, these are some of the things that obviously it should be available in the community, and I believe that will help address young people involvement in the criminal justice, and it will reduce all this kind of offending. Could be gang related, or it could be robbery or burglary, any offense that they engage themselves in.
Okay. So, I think at this point, do you want to open the phone lines or?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So, I'll let you do this part.
Alright. Okay. Alright, viewers, so the phone line is open. If you have any question, you can call in right now, and the number is on the screen. For those of you that want me to repeat, it's 079 3293 4518. 079 3293 4518. And the other one is 074 40 33 8623. We've got about, let's say, 5 minutes to go. If you have any question relating to this topic or any criminal justice or criminal matter, you can call in right now, and myself and Adrena will be able to help you out, and then obviously give you the update that you need. So the phone lines are open. We wait if anybody wants to call. I hope you've learned something from today's section, viewers, and of course, me being the host, and today I've been the guest. But Adrena, thank you very much. You've done really well.
Thank you. So while we wait for the phone line to ring, do you mind if I ask you another question?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So I'm kind of guessing what the answer to this question is going to be, but do you think the process in place at the moment is currently working to reduce offending amongst the young people?
I think the process is not 100% working. There is a process, but then if you listen to the news, or obviously if you out there. You hear a lot of people committing offenses and crime, different kinds of crime, and so that means the process is not working, and something needs to be done about it. Because it's inadequate at the moment. Whatever the structure is that we've already outlined, it's not working, and that is why we get a lot of young people coming into the cycle of offending. So the process is not working at all.
So you feel it needs a big overhaul?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So what advice, Joe, would you give young people that are watching the show, or parents?
All right, thank you very much. I'll start with young people. If you're a child or a young person, and especially in the UK, you have a lot of potentials. So regardless of what lifestyle or what that you've been through, there is always a brighter light at the end of the tunnel. Whether you've been to prison, whether you've been to court, whether you've been part of the gang, whatever you've done, there is always hope for you. So my advice to young people is that they shouldn't lose focus. They shouldn't lose hope. And then also they should build their confidence in area that they really want to excel on. Whether you want to become a lawyer, whether you want to obviously become a teacher, whether you want to play football, whether you want to become an entrepreneur, whatever, there's always support. This is a land of opportunity.
Of course.
So there are so many agencies that will be there to support you. You can start with apprenticeship. You can always go back to school. There's no limit to, going back to college or to uni.
Even here, there's a lot of funding for this stuff now.
That's what I'm saying. So it's about assessing yourself as a young person and knowing what you want to do, and obviously sticking to the path. And if you need guidance or whatever, you speak to someone, a role. You can. When I was young, I knew people that wanted to be like them. I look at this person and say, oh man, I want to be like this person. Okay, because I could see how fulfilling, how they were, And I said, look, I like their lifestyle, I want to be like them. So you can select your own role model based on your expectations or based on whatever they are doing. So please, now especially to the ethnic minority, it's becoming alarming, it's becoming very concerning in relation to the knife crime, county lines. This is not the path that we expect you guys to be. But I think a lot of people have been misinformed, has obviously joined the bad route or whatever, but it's not too late. They can always bounce back and get whatever they need. So that is my advice to young people. And then also to parents, my advice is that we need to be there for our children. Because some of the parents, especially, they work Monday to Sunday, 12 hours.
Through no fault of
they
their
leave
own.
the child at home, they go to work, they come back, you don't know what your child is doing. I know we are in crisis, I know we need financial crisis, but then also you need to make sure that you have a responsibility to protect your child. So parents have that obligation and they need to be there. Monitor your child. You need to talk to them. Because sometimes they want that assurance. They are scared to come and ask you questions. But when you tell them, they will tell you straight away. And you have to establish that rapport with them. To make sure that obviously they will be able to have that freedom of communication with you. And of course, they will ask you first that if you fail to raise your child the way you want, someone out there will raise them, and it will be very, very bad. So this is my advice to parents and children. Thank you.
Oh, Joe, you've been amazing. Thank you. Very, very, very knowledgeable. Thank you. So, that was our legal hour on behalf of CITI Law Firm. I'll just give you the address one more time. It's Unit 113, Barking Enterprise Centre, 50 Cambridge Road, Barking, Essex, IG 118FG. The phone number is 0203 355-0782, and they specialise in immigration law, employment law, family law, personal injuries and clinical negligence, commercial disputes and civil litigations, housing law, consumer law, and media and entertainment law. So guys, if you need a good lawyer, please contact CITI Law.
Thank you.
So please continue to share, like and subscribe, and thank you for tonight. Joe, thank you for being very knowledgeable on a very relevant topic in society at the moment.
Thank you.
Is there anyone you want to...
Well, thank you. So next week we'll be back with another interesting topic. I know a lot of people have missed lawyer. He went on a short leave, but next week lawyer will be back, and then we will continue with the legal matters, immigration or any area or any topic that lawyer will bring. So next week we do the English version. Lawyer will do the English version on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday we do the tree version. So yeah, I'd like to say bye and shout out to all my friends, Hackney FC, among 4 all students of Prempeh College, University of Ghana, Vandas, VMAs, all students, RC Complex, Kontonchi, Royals, Amaniampo, Kuyeku. Yeah, I love you. Thank you.
And thank you for everyone that watched the show tonight. Thank you to all my family, my friends, and everyone that subscribed. And we'll see you next week.
And also, thank you very much, Mr. Winston.
Yes, Winston.
Winston, yeah, for being the backbone of this, isn't it?
Yeah.
With your questions, very
knowledgeable. Winston.
Thank you, Winston. Thank you. All right.
Okay. Take care, guys. Bye. Oh my God, I was so done.